On today's episode of I-Dentity, businesswoman and image consultant Pontsho Manzi is in our coffee shop. We join in on the celebrations of 320 years of Islam in South Africa. We help you keep fit with a must-have workout app. We also review a book by Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu and his daughter. And Nondumiso Tembe wraps up the show with her track, Black Gold.
I am an individual with an imagination. My inner faith illuminates innovations. In a space with infinite inspiration, I was born free from all incarceration. Incredible, living infallibly, intelligent, outshine with my inner being. This is me, impeccable as ever been. I am you, you are me. This is my identity.
Sanibonani Mzansi nginamngele kulolu hlelo lwetenkolo kulisondvo ekseni mina ngiMpumi Mbethe lena I-Dentity. The month of July is Mental Illness Awareness Month. According to the Department of Health, 1 in every 4 South Africans is affected by mental illness. Unfortunately, because of the lack of recognition or understanding of the seriousness of this condition, people often do not get the right diagnosis or treatment. Mental illness is on the increase, especially amongst the youth, and this is indeed concerning. See, I-Dentity sithandza kukhutsata bantfu kutsi sitifundzise kabanti ngetifo tekugula ngengqondo, sati tinkomba nikuthi singabasita njani Remember that knowledge is power. And on that note, it's time to empower you as I chat with this week's inspirational guest. It's been said that first impressions are lasting impressions. So what better way to make a great and lasting first impression than with an improved image and attitude? Well, my guest today is passionate about transforming people's images and helping them put their best foot forward no matter what the situation is. Pontsho Manzi is a qualified image consultant and the founder of FabImage, a company that assists its clients with personal branding and image management, amongst other things. She is also a motivational speaker, author of Diary for Fabulous You, publisher of the Fabulous Women magazine, and founder of an initiative called FabGalz, which seeks to empower young girls in building successful careers in their chosen fields. Her profile alone has already made a good first impression on me, and I can't wait to pick her brain. Pontsho, welcome to I-Dentity.
Thank you so much, Mpumi, for inviting me.
Tell me about Pontsho as a kid.
Oh, Pontsho grew up in Soshanguve in Pretoria. I was just a simple girl, you know, very focused young girl. I knew early on in life what I want. I worked very hard. I was very passionate about changing people's lives, like educating them. I still have memories of Pontsho taking all these young girls in our neighborhood, you know, putting them in my mom's yard and teaching them. And I used to fight a lot with my mother because of that. And I went to primary school in Baleseng, in the same townships. Then I completed my matric in Holy Trinity School.
Take me to your high school years. With the Holy Trinity School, was it spiritual school, religious school?
Yes, absolutely. It was a Catholic school. It was a very good school, especially looking at the values that they instilled in us. I learned a lot. I was involved in sports. I worked very hard. I was very focused, and I think at some point I was a little bit boring to my peers because everything was serious about Pontsho.
And you started FabImage at 24 years old?
No.
That was your first company?
Yeah, that was my first company. I started my business when I was 24. It was Recruit Train, an HR consulting company. My background is HR. I have an HR degree. And the business grew. I branched out into training, started doing facilitation, offering soft skills training. And I realized that most people can't secure jobs because of their image. And mostly I had an eye for fashion, so I did a research and I got information about image consulting, and I studied a diploma with the Image Academy, and I got my accreditation. Then voila, started doing one-on-one consultations on makeovers, you know, wardrobe consulting, wardrobe auditing, etiquette consulting, because image is all about the ABC, appearance, your behavior, as well as communication.
What are some of the challenges of running a business as a young person in South Africa?
Oh, a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges. They don't believe in you. And I think a business is still more man-orientated than female. It's male-dominated in a way. So you can imagine a 24-year-old going into corporate companies, knocking and say, here I am, I have my business, please support me. It was a challenge, but I always advise young women, young people to work very hard and study, because you learn a lot of things. Then you'll know your story. You'll walk with confidence. Even when you present to your potential clients, they will feel that we have to give her a business.
She knows what she's talking about.
She knows what she's talking about, yeah.
And personal branding seems to be the buzzword lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it, really?
Personal branding, it's all about how you want the world to perceive you. The most important thing is to look at your values, your belief system, your skills. Then you can go back into the ABC, your appearance. That's where we come in, assisting you on how to look good, what to wear, you know, for your body, and also assisting you with etiquettes. I mean, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, and also the way you communicate.
Communication is something that has become big on social networks.
Absolutely.
How then does social networking affect or impact our personal brands?
If you want the world to take you serious, you should firstly look at your brand and what you share. I always advise people to look at your experience, what you like, and rather share mostly that. If you are into IT, share a lot of information about IT, and also a little bit of your life, not too much. You know, it's important. By that, you are protecting your own brand as a human being.
And Fabulous Women, what is the magazine all about?
I believe in life we all have a purpose. We come on this earth for a reason. And my purpose is to uplift and empower women. So after I launched FabImage, we did a lot of workshops throughout South Africa, women high teas, you know, women workshops, assisting them with makeovers and stuff. But Mpumi, I met a lot of powerful women in South Africa who were so open about their life stories, their life journeys. For some reason, I even thought, maybe I'm supposed to be a psychologist, because they were sharing too much of their lives with this little girl, you know, and I remember I asked God, why are these people sharing, you know, telling me their life journeys, and I'm talking about serious things. I got confirmation from God that indeed it is my purpose to uplift and empower women. And I'll start giving them advices, do this, do that. And they will call me after and say, your advice worked, thank you so much. And I realized that if older women are going through this, what about girls and young women in South Africa? Then in 2009, I registered a non-profit organization called FabGalz Foundation. We run workshops for the girls in townships, you know, reminding them that they are important, they are valuable, they are beautiful. It doesn't matter how you look. You know, God created you for a reason, so don't ever blame God. So we do workshops on character building, self-love, self-esteem. FabGalz Foundation grew, and all these girls were asking me, how did you do it? I always say it's through God. It's not because of my intelligence or anything, you know, it's because of the wisdom that God is giving me. And I thought, let me share, you know, my life journey and some of the tips that I got from my mother through a beautiful diary called Diary for Fabulous Youth.
I'm going to play a quick word game with you. Give me one word that best describes the taste of grapefruit.
Sour.
That best describes your childhood.
Loving.
False eyelashes?
No.
Color blocking?
No.
Winter mornings?
Coffee.
Your musical taste?
Hip hop.
Role model?
My mom.
Taxi drivers in Johannesburg?
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah, they're trying to make a living.
Bungee jumping?
Yes, love it.
One word that best describes Pontsho.
Loving and very supportive.
And very inspirational. Thank you so much, Pontsho.
Thank you for me. It's my pleasure.
It is such a pleasure. What an inspirational young woman who has given us a healthy helping of food for thought when it comes to personal image and branding. Siyabonga kakhulu kusesponsor Manzi ingekusihlathululela kancane lwati lakhe nelithando lwakhe. It's time to take a quick break. Today's regional story highlights the impact that Islam has made in the country as the Muslim community celebrates celebrates 320 years of Islam in South Africa. Don't miss this fascinating story coming straight after the break.
This is my identity. This is my identity.
You're watching I-Dentity, the multi-faith breakfast show that gets your Sunday off to a spiritually uplifted start. Faith and spirituality are a huge part of one's identity, and the Muslim community has played a major role in the country's spiritual landscape for over 320 years. April this year marked 20 years of democracy for the new South Africa. It also marked the 20th anniversary of the tricentenary commemorations of Islam in South Africa. This
is my identity.
Nelson Mandela, less than a fortnight from becoming president in 1994, addressed a crowd at the Good Hope Center in Cape Town on the 300th anniversary of Islam in South Africa. This year, as South Africa celebrates 20 years of democracy, the Muslim community reflects on their 20th anniversary of the tricentenary commemorations of Islam in South Africa.
Islam first came to the Western Cape, the tip of Africa, people would say in 1652, when Jan van Riebeeck first arrived here, because on board with him would have been slaves and workers. But the first records that we have of Muslims being in the Western Cape is in fact 1668, with the arrival of the Orang Kayan, the nobility from the Malay-Indonesian archipelago, being sent to the forests of Constantia in a political exile. The next significant moment in the history of Islam in the Western Cape, in South Africa, is 1694, when Sheikh Yusuf of Makassar, a famous saint, a famous scholar of his time, a famous fighter of his time against the colonial Dutch, arrived in exile in 1694 from Sri Lanka. So a lot of the people that came here as political exiles were in fact Sufi sheikhs. They were sheikhs of the spiritual way of Islam. And what they did was they attracted people around them in circles of devotion, circles of learning, circles of knowledge. And because of the fact that they had this religious authority, they were able to create values in people, and they were able to create a Muslim society. It was an under society, but they were able to create it. The tricentenary commemoration was initiated. It was an idea of Dr. Ahmad Davids, who's the doyen of historians of the Cape Muslim community. And he felt in 1994, which was the 300th anniversary of the arrival of Sheikh Yusuf of Makassar, that a community that had been beaten down by 46 years of apartheid needed to assert its cultural identity. And what was born out of his idea was the Sheikh Yusuf 1994 Tricentenary Committee. And out of this committee came events that were actually pioneering at that time. For example, you saw Muslim artists being given an exhibition at the National Gallery, formerly a forbidden territory. Muslims having a cultural exhibition at the castle in Cape Town, a place where in the 17th and 18th centuries Muslims had been tortured and even executed. A very symbolic moment in 1994 was a group of Muslims making the communal post-sunset prayer on the lawns of the castle, the first time ever in 300 years. That what happened on the Easter weekend, because that was the significant time when Sheikh Yusuf arrived in the Western Cape, was a march was held through the streets of Cape Town. About 120,000 people turned out for this march, all dressed in white, very, very peaceful. So that to me was the significance of the tricentenary celebrations of 1994. It was a very dignified celebration of liberty, but not just political liberty, of civil liberty, of the liberty of a person's faith. Islam was now an equal religion amongst all religions in South Africa, and for the first time Muslims could be proud South Africans.
The new South Africa introduced the licensing of community radio stations with religious formats. Voice of the Cape was one of these radio stations, and today it continues to serve the cultural interest of the Muslim community.
It's been explained that the motivations... Well, Voice of the Cape was founded in 1995, and Voice of the Cape is one of the children of the Independent Broadcasting Act, which was promulgated by the government to free the airwaves of South Africa that until that time had been shackled by the apartheid regime. And what you saw was a flowering of community radios. Voice of the Cape has been driven by young people. If you go there right now, you'll see that people in the news department, people in the production department, even some of the presenters are in fact young people. And it's a cliche, but young people are the future.
Media has always been one of my biggest dreams, and I decided to take the step to start out at VOC radio and see if this is what I really want. And I started doing production, which is producing for various shows on Voice of the Cape radio station. And it's not every day that our youth get the chance to be able to work in this media field.
I came here as a current affairs producer, but I applied for a journalist job, but then I got the current affairs shows to produce them. 20 years for me means that South Africa has come a long way, but also there's still the real work now has to begin. You know, we have these differences that we were oppressed because of 20 years ago, but now we're so free and diverse, we need to learn how to live with each other.
The aim is to give notice to the ANC and the DA that voters should no longer be taken for granted. Considering we're 20 years down the line of our democracy, which we earned in 1994, I would say that the local Muslim community has contributed immensely. If you look at the contribution of people during the anti-apartheid struggle, people like Imam Abdullah Haroon, who was one of the significant martyrs of the South African struggle. You have people like Ahmed Timal also being killed by the security police because he believed in freedom, he believed in justice. And you'll see that the list just goes on and on and on of Muslims making a contribution to the democratic landscape that is South Africa. It was Madiba himself who said in 1994, shortly after he was elected as president, and he said this in a mosque, that the new South Africa should find spirituality at its center. And he felt that spirituality would be the moral compass of the new South Africa. And I think those words of Madiba apply even more profoundly today, in that spirituality is what centers a human being. It gives you an idea of who you are, of what you were and where you're going to. And if you have that, then you are equipped to be a good citizen of the country, and you're equipped to be able to contribute positively to the growth of South Africa in the future.
This is my identity.
Kutsiwa kuze sati kutsi sibuyaphi kufuthi sati kutsi sibuya kuphi. Thank you to the Muslim community for sharing this momentous occasion with us and for contributing to the rich tapestry that makes up our Rainbow Nation. Today's edition of What's Appening features the review of a must-have workout app as well as a book that will help you on your journey to forgiveness. So be sure to stay tuned. Ungaphuthelwa ngemva kwalokho.
This is my identity. This is my identity.
Ngiphinze ngikwamukele mina igama nginguMpumi Mbethe. If you just joined us, you missed out on a conversation about personal branding and image management with the fabulous Pontsho Manzi. Our original story showcased the faith-filled celebration of 320 years of Islam in South Africa. Now it's time for a look at what's trending on the media front. Here is What's Appening. We may be right in the middle of winter, but that doesn't mean you should let the winter kilos pile on. It's never been easier to get a few minutes of exercise into your day. All it takes is 5 minutes, and today's app will help you do just that.
The 5-minute home workouts app gives you the option of a quick workout that can be done in 5 minutes. Each session has a timed rest and exercise period to ensure that your workout takes no more than 5 minutes. The easy-to-follow home exercise routines are divided into 6 categories: abs, fat loss, chest and arms, butt and legs, yoga and Pilates. All exercises feature detailed instructions and clear 3D animations. The 12 sessions and 42 different exercises that the app offers mean there is enough variety for everyone. Every exercise in every session has a target to aim for, which will vary depending on your previous progress. And if you feel that 5 minutes is not enough, simply combine different sessions to make longer or more intense workouts. Get your body summer ready by downloading the 5-minute home workouts app today.
Now on to the second review for the day. It's the Book of Forgiving by Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu and his daughter Reverend Mpho Tutu.
Social activist and retired Anglican Archbishop Desmond Tutu teams up with his daughter Reverend Mpho Tutu to bring you the spirit-shaking manual on the seemingly impossible task of forgiveness. In this book, the authors acknowledge the difficulty of forgiving, thereby taking a realistic approach to the subject. Drawing on personal experiences and those of others, they also aim to do away with the misconception that forgiveness is a feat that can only be achieved by the saintly. The book starts off by tackling the subject of understanding what forgiveness is and isn't, as well as why one should forgive. The Tutus also offer what they have named the fourfold path, which is a 4-step process of forgiving. The end of each chapter offers meditations, exercises, and prayer to help guide the reader on their journey to forgiveness. In life, we are all faced with wrongs that have been done to us, and this book offers a step-by-step process to guide the reader to a place of forgiveness. If you are battling with a situation that needs forgiveness or are looking for a way to forgive yourself, then get yourself a copy of the Book of Forgiveness today.
On Wednesday, the Baha'i community celebrates the martyrdom of the Bab. This day is set aside to commemorate the events surrounding the execution of the Bab, one of the main figures of the Baha'i faith. Special prayers are read at noon, and this is a day of rest for followers of the faith. The I-Dentity team wishes our Baha'i friends a blessed and restful holy day. Nglogo-ke sibeka lapho indzaba yetfu, kepha kuchumana nathi kumalula. Ungasilandzela ku Twitter kumbe ku Instagram, uphinze usilandzele ku Facebook. Vele ufune I-Dentity TV show go onke lama platform. Engxenye unganosithumela i-email ku identitytvshow@gmail.com. Wrapping up the show today is the uber talented Nondumiso Tembe with her song that celebrates Africa, Black Gold. From me, Mpumi Mbethe, and the I-Dentity team, here's wishing you a blessed and productive week ahead. Goodbye.